Amidst the rolling fields of Waterloo, on the fateful day of June 18, 1815, Europe stood on the precipice of change. This was to be no ordinary battle. It was to be a clash of giants, an epical struggle between the Emperor of France, Napoleon Bonaparte, and the Seventh Coalition, led by the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian Field Marshal Gebhard Leberecht von Blücher. The sun rose on that damp Belgian morning, setting the stage for a clash that would echo through the corridors of history. Napoleon, a man of unmatched military genius and ambition, had returned from exile on the island of Elba, determined to reclaim his lost glory. France, however, was not the same as he had left it. The Congress of Vienna, which had convened to redraw the map of Europe, sought to contain the imperial ambitions that had dominated the continent for more than a decade. The great powers of Europe, Britain, Russia, Austria, Prussia, were determined to prevent Napoleon from plunging Europe into chaos once more. On the other side, the Duke of Wellington, an unflinching and composed British commander, and Marshal Blücher, a relentless and rugged Prussian leader, stood united to halt the Corsican Conqueror's march. Their forces were drawn from across Europe, for the specter of French dominance had united disparate nations in a common cause. As the battlefield trembled with anticipation, a cinematic panorama unfolded. The sun cast long shadows across the undulating fields, where tens of thousands of men, horses, and cannons converged. The French infantry, bathed in their trademark blue coats, formed the formidable centerpiece of Napoleon's army. The British Redcoats and the Prussian troops, clad in their indomitable black uniforms, prepared to face the storm. A symphony of artillery fire erupted as the first act of this grand theater commenced. The earth quaked beneath the heavy boots of the French Imperial Guard, moving in disciplined ranks. The thundering cannonade set the scene as the great battle began. Napoleon, perched on his steed, watched with keen eyes, fully aware that his destiny hung in the balance. He unleashed his cavalry, led by the dashing Marshal Ney in a spectacular charge. The French cuirassiers, their breastplates glistening in the morning light, clashed with the British squares, but the Redcoats held firm. The chilling beauty of war played out as the thundering hooves of the cavalry met the disciplined ranks of the infantry. The field became a sea of chaos and carnage. Meanwhile, the Prussian army, led by Marshal Blücher, fought their way towards the battlefield. Their timely arrival would be crucial. The French knew this, and Napoleon's gaze shifted constantly between the horizon and the ongoing struggle on the battlefield. Wellington, known for his steadfastness, anchored his defense on the ridge of Mont Saint-Jean. His army of British and Allied troops formed a fortress-like line, resolute in the face of the advancing French onslaught. Volley after volley of musket fire clashed with the French infantry, and the battle was in the balance. The British squares held against the relentless French assaults, displaying a resilience that would enter the annals of history. Yet the day belonged to more than just infantry and cavalry. The ground quivered beneath the rumbling charge of cannons. The French, skilled gunners, aimed their artillery at the British positions. Clouds of smoke and flame engulfed the battlefield as thunderous booms accompanied the onslaught. The British endured, suffering immense casualties but refusing to yield. Amidst this relentless fray, the Prussian troops, under Marshal Blücher's command, broke through the French lines, creating a rift that would ultimately seal Napoleon's fate. The Corsican genius, torn between his imperious ambition and the unfolding chaos, realized the noose was tightening around him. As the sun arced across the sky, casting long shadows over the tumultuous field, Wellington's lines held and the Prussians pressed forward. Napoleon's options dwindled with the setting sun. The climax neared. The penultimate act unfolded in the form of the Imperial Guard. With a flourish, Napoleon unleashed his elite troops, known as the Immortals. These were the best of the best, the pride of France. They marched towards Wellington's center, their bearskin helmets and resplendent uniforms making for a fearsome sight. But the British squares held, and the tide began to turn. The final act came with dramatic irony. As the French Imperial Guard ascended the ridge of Mont Saint-Jean, victory within their grasp, a lone cry rang out. "The Prussians are coming!" Marshal Blücher and his army had arrived at last, crashing into the French right flank. The French Guard, seeing the relentless Prussian advance, faltered, panic set in, and the morale of the entire French army crumbled. It was a tragic spectacle for Napoleon, watching the symbol of his power disintegrate before his eyes. Wellington, seizing the moment, launched a counter-offensive. The British and their allies surged forward, breaking the French lines. Chaos descended, and the field became a graveyard of broken dreams. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a crimson hue over the battlefield. The Battle of Waterloo had been fought and won. Napoleon, the indomitable conqueror, was defeated, and his reign ended. He would be exiled once again, this time to the distant island of St. Helena, where he would gaze across the Atlantic, forever separated from the continent he had once ruled. The Battle of Waterloo, a cinematic saga of ambition and destiny, had unfolded on this picturesque stage. Europe would breathe a sigh of relief and the Napoleonic era would close its chapter. And as history turned its inexorable pages, the echoes of that fateful day would resonate for generations, reminding the world of the triumph of destiny at Waterloo.